has to be preserved. And the ark is an abiding place for God on earth. That is, He manifests Himself there. You see, this is some little bit of furniture that's tucked away in a corner that has no meaning. It's the abiding place. If you like, it's the seat, it's the dwelling place. You have the ark, and then on the top of the ark you have a mercy seat. The Salvation Army never used to talk about coming to the altar. They used to sing. I can remember that years ago, 60, 70 years ago, when the army used to sing, "Come to the mercy seat, fervently kneel. Here bring you wounded heart. Here tell your anguish. Earth has no sorrow that heaven cannot heal." There's a mercy seat. A blood-sprinkled mercy seat. Okay, we're now in the first book of Samuel, chapter 5. The Philistines took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. Now when they of Ashdod rose early in the morning, behold, Dagon had fallen upon his face on the earth before the ark of God. And they took Dagon and set him on his place again. And they arose early in the morning, and he was fallen on his face, and his head and his hands had broken off. Now you see here the peril of toying or playing with holy things. There's a verse I didn't look up, but it talks about the iniquity of holy things. Now that's something to really turn over, isn't it? How in the world can you have the iniquity of holy things? These people have captured the ark of God. They thought it would do them good. Instead it did evil. They put it at the side of their God. This monstrous god, Dagon, with the upper part of his body was a man, and the lower part a fish, something like a mermaid we would say today. And there he stood in a temple where people worship him, and as soon as they put the ark of God there, without anybody doing a thing, big old Dagon fell down on his face. So they stood him up again. And they went in next morning, he was worse off. He not only fell down, his hands had broken off, his feet had broken off. Just because of God's presence being there. Now see what happened further in the chapter. When they rose early in the morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off. Upon the threshold, only the stump of Dagon was left. Therefore neither the priests of Dagon nor any that came into Dagon's house dared tread on the threshold of Dagon to this day. You see, just that one visitation, that one movement of God terrified them, so that in a sense Dagon had to go out of business. Verse 6, the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them and smote them with emerods, and Ashdod and the coast thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, the ark of God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us, and upon Dagon our God. Going to the end of the 8th verse, and they carried the ark of God, the God of Israel. They carried the ark of the God of Israel out thither, and it was so after they had carried it out that the hand of the Lord was against the city. Now here you are again, you see the peril. What I want to emphasize, two things. I want to emphasize the peril of having these holy things and misusing them, and yet the peril is obviously the opposite to the power. Remember the children of Israel, one of their marvelous escapades, they walked around the city 7 times. What did they do? They carried the ark of God. To them that was the very presence of God. Can you imagine people on the walls looking down and say, well, who are these lunatics? I mean, what are they doing? They were not allowed to speak. That must have been tough on some of them. They were not allowed to speak. They walked around in silence. They carried the ark. What have they got there? Is that a coffin? What is it? What's a casket? You see, they were not allowed to mount it. When Moses was sharing out some of the property of Israel, he gave various things to various people, but the sons, I've forgotten his name, Athon I think it was, his sons were not allowed to have any cattle or any of the possessions. They were separated to carrying the ark of God. Now, the peril is this, and I think to me it comes home with great force. Or let me go to the other scripture. Where did we read a bit earlier? I've forgotten that chapter. 2 Samuel and chapter 6. Okay. 2 Samuel 6 and verse 6. When they came to Nachon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God and took hold of it, and the oxen shook it, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against it. Why? Now they'd made a new cart for it. God said it never had to be on a cart. God said it had to have 4 gold rings, one on each corner, and put a staff through it, and that men had to carry this thing. But they made a new cart. You know, the Jews then, I don't know about today, they love new things. Remember what Samson said? If you fasten me with 7 new ropes, then I shall be like other men. No, then I shall be weak like other men. Rather insulting to us, isn't it? Remember later when Jesus died, they put him in a new tomb. When Jesus rode an ass, he rode one that nobody had broken in. It was entirely new. They love new things. And these people thought they were doing God a favor by, modernizing this thing. I mean, why carry the thing on your shoulders anyhow, when oxen can do it? Now, I don't know what happened to these oxen. You know, it says that when they came to the threshing floor of Uzzah, maybe they thought it was lunchtime. You know, they could smell, that's the stuff we eat, and right now they're threshing some new wheat. We should stay and have some. And maybe it was the very action of those creatures that swayed the ark. Now, isn't it really awesome? They didn't decide to paint it another color. They didn't decide to put a second deck on it. They didn't disfigure it in any way. The men didn't go in front of it and start blaspheming. The man somehow thought he'd got it. Oh, look, the ark is going to topple over. Oh, I'll hold it. Somebody once asked Mr. Spurgeon if he would join a society for the defense of the Bible. And he said, you don't usually walk before a lion with a sword.